Okay, we should be live.
Tube you.
Man, this sunburn. Goodness.
Were you like at a lake or something? Like what happened?
Yeah, man, I'm so pumped. My fiance, her family has a lake house.
Oh man, you married rich. Look at that. Look at you. Yeah, yeah, good for you. Congratulations.
Just immediately going there. Wasn't going to talk about that, but they have a lake house.
Oh, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
Fuck. Jay.
Hey, get that money, baby.
All right.
Well then.
But no, they have a lake house and it's amazing. But we've always been, we're like we go there, but we didn't know how to like turn on all the breakers and we didn't know how to open and close the house, the vacation home, like turn on the breakers, turn off the breakers, like do the things to get the house ready to be used. And then when we're leaving, know exactly. So we went out there this week to like learn how to do all that so that now we are allowed to, they gave her a key and we're allowed to like go and just go ourselves whenever we want to this summer.
Man,
I'm
good stuff.
Really excited about it. Just to be, it was a really fun time this weekend and excited to do it more. I just like being in the water. I want a pool real bad, but this may be like, will stave off my pool need for a while. Because a pool is a terrible idea. I do not have the money for a pool.
They're so much
Pools
work
are
to
money
do.
pits.
Yeah.
I know. I had a pool growing up, and ours always turned green because my parents didn't have the money.
So not worth it.
Or the
My father-in-law has one, and I'm serious when I say like he spends probably like 2 hours a day working on his pool.
yeah, my dad.
I'm just like, yeah, like he's like always just it's constant stuff like to the pool.
No.
It's like
My
this
dad
is
was that
not
way.
worth it.
Nope.
Yeah, for sure.
Hot tub?
I get down with a hot tub.
I get down with him.
Yeah.
We went to Austin for the eclipse, and the Airbnb got rented. It was like 20 people packed in an Airbnb, and but it had a jacuzzi / one of those exercise pools that's like just a jacuzzi size, but you can swim and it like makes you stay. It's like a swimming treadmill basically. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this could be the solution. Like, it's much smaller. It gets my swimming in, gives me some exercise, but it's also a hot tub, and it's just a little bitty thing. Okay. Well, are you? I guess make sure you get your recordings ready. I'm pulling.
Oh
mine
yeah,
up
just
now.
tell me when
Check,
to hit record, and
We'll do. I'm
make
setting
sure
mine now.
I'm actually on this microphone. Okay, yeah.
I'm doing the same thing. Anybody out there in YouTube land? Haven't seen anybody commenting yet.
Got like four people or something.
So
popping in.
us.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, I'm one of them too. That might just be us. Yeah,
So
for
yeah,
sure.
so it's
Hi,
just
us.
Come people, join us.
Hey, all you.
talk to ourselves in the chat.
I see
Like,
here.
great point, Haley.
I have definitely
she's
done
sitting
that.
there chatting.
What's because your name isn't Haley Hub. It's like HJ something, right?
It's HJP8907 because
Yeah.
I refuse to change usernames.
Well, I always see I have many times seen your username, and I'm like, oh, this user made a really good point. HJ. Oh, never mind. That's Haley.
That's so rude. I make excellent points all the time.
I know.
I do like the anonymity of it, which I guess is now blown.
It's only blown for the four of us, apparently, and TJ Stafford.
And TJ Stafford.
Hey, CJ.
And the rest of the internet.
Okay, so were y'all ready? Any questions, Reed? I know it's your first time.
No, I'm ready. I'm ready and excited.
Sweet. We're excited to
This is
have
gonna
you,
be
man.
fun.
All right. I am hitting record.
Okay.
I'm hitting record on
Boop.
Zencaster.
Boop,
Boop.
Waves.
Everybody boop. I need to make sure everyone
Pop boop.
boops. Boop. Okay. My face is like not too many shades off from the like the red of the.
It doesn't look that bad.
But like you can see it's red. Like when I pulled it next to it, like those are definitely
The further away you get from the ring light, like the more red you are, for sure.
Oh yeah.
But like the closer you get, yeah, like right now you're you're pretty pink. Yeah. But like but like right now, no, it looks fine.
I think part of that is the light hitting through my beard. So this part of my face got no sun at all, and you can like see how white all of this is. Yeah. Okay. Let's do this.
It's not that noticeable if you don't point it out.
Well, that's what I'm pointing out. I find it funny.
Okay. I'm gonna put something in the chat. Is Matt's beard bird funny?
Yeah, create a poll.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why they come to us.
All right. I'm recording on everything, and everybody's recording. Okay, here we go.
Yep.
Vision series gets a showrunner. Furiosa and Garfield brawl at the box office, and Deadpool and Wolverine break the R-rated pre-sales record. All that and more on this week's Multiverse News. Welcome to Multiverse News, your source for information about all your favorite fictional universes. My name is Matthew Carroll, and with me today on the panel, we have Haley Hobbs. What is going on, Haley Hobbs?
I can't even match that kind of energy, but I am glad to be here.
Well, good. I'm glad you're here. And Jay Sisson, what is going on?
Not too much. Just happy to be here. School's out for summer, so we're partying.
Nice. And for the first time, welcome to Multiverse Nude. Not just a nude. Multiverse Nude.
Hey, it's not that kind of show. It's
not that kind of show.
It's that kind of show when I'm here.
Apparently introducing Mr. Reed Murphy here. Hello, Reed. It makes me Freudian slip nude. Sorry about that. I feel like we should call HR.
Oh no, it's all good. I'm just a guest, so I don't think I get HR privileges yet.
That's true. That's true.
I'll put in some calls.
Contractors get the same rights as everybody else.
I'm definitely gonna get like. I feel like I'm gonna get me too'd for the guest for harassing the guest.
I'll talk to 323 Network HR, and that'll just probably be more issues. They're usually the ones who harass me.
Coordinate. All right. Well, welcome. Yes, Reed, you're from 323 with Reed Murphy.
Yes. Yep.
Tell us a little bit about your show. First time on the show here at Multiverse News.
It is a sports variety show. We're mostly based in sports, but there's plenty of variety. One of your Stranded Panda regulars, Zahir Ali, is a pretty big regular on our show. We love to just have a lighthearted look at sports, film, TV, pop culture, and just whatever's going on in our regular lives. Just a kind of standard show with, different good interviews, including some this week, and lots of great YouTube content on the 323 Network YouTube page. So I would love for everybody to go check it out, have a little crossover with some of our, Awesome Con and Katsucon kind of content that we've done over the last couple of years.
Sweet. Well, thank you for being here. And please, everybody check out 323. And we're going to dive into the show. Excuse me.
What was that?
That was an unexpected burp.
It was an
As it straight up came out of me very unexpectedly. Did not have any preparation. Sometimes I'm submerged, pressing all extra air, trying to read well or whatever, and trying to do my host voice, and then it'll just be
You just make me nude in your burp. It's okay.
I know. What are you doing to me, Reed? Gosh. Okay. So our first thing we do every week is we read a 5-star review from Apple Podcast. We got Seaman 81412 says this show is super good, best podcast show ever. Thank you, Seaman. And I just really like the term podcast show. I know it's a little redundant, but I like it.
I liked it too. I was like, no, I'm leaving this in. This is great.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, let's dive into our first story. We finally received an update on the second of the 2 WandaVision spinoffs in development, with the news that Marvel has... Let me start that one over. We finally received an update on the second of the 2 WandaVision spin-offs in development, with the news that Marvel has enlisted Star Trek Picard executive producer Terry Matalas as showrunner for the untitled Vision series. Details remain sparse, but we know that Paul Bettany will reprise his role as the albino synthezoid, and Marvel Studios is eyeing a 2026 Disney Plus release. Matalas seemed to manage to please both critics and fans with the conclusion of Picard. Do we think he can do it again for Marvel?
Yeah, we're finally going to find out where White Vision flew off to, and it's only been 3, 4, 5 years. Oh, no, it'll be great. There's some interesting nuggets in this, including that Kevin Feige appeared on a podcast with Matalas, and so he clearly has affinity for this person and called him, he's a self-proclaimed Trekkie, it said, so that's good vote of confidence from Overlord Feige for sure. Also noting that the Jack Schaefer version of the show appears to be by the wayside, and I think that that's the one that they were originally calling Vision Quest. So this one is untitled, it said, and I'm okay with that. I thought Vision Quest sounded... it was not exciting. It was not interesting in the way that like WandaVision was, or the Agatha gazillion titles are. Like, it was like video gamey a little too
it's
much.
better to say untitled right now than give it another title and then change it again later.
You see, and this is why marketing was like, shit, what are we gonna do with Agatha? So no, I'm excited about this, and I'm looking forward to more WandaVision spinoffs since it's the best thing ever in the MCU. Practically. So yeah, let's see what we're gonna do with White Vision.
Yeah, you guys know I'm the Star Trek guy normally here on the panel. I don't know your feelings on Star Trek, Reed, but I'm a big Star Trek fan, and I enjoyed the last season of Picard. It was really well done. They kind of like landed the plane solidly. It had its issues, like all shows do, when you're looking at them as closely as we do when we're podcasting, but like really well done. So many fans were so happy, and like it got me reinvigorated for Star Trek for like a new era of Star Trek. They left it with all kinds of cool places to go, and I think that is very much what Marvel needs right now in a show is the introduction of new ideas, like respecting the stuff that's come before, but introducing new ideas that can push this whole franchise forward. And I think a Vision show seems like a great place to do that. But what really interests me is what you said, Haley, about the being on a podcast with Terry Matalas and Kevin Feige, because like, I don't know if y'all remember, but a few years ago, they also talked about the one of the big touchstones they looked at when they were talking about making Endgame was the last episode of The Next Generation. And it's just like, and then they snatched up Terry Matalas after he did such a big Next Generation ending, with Picard's ending. And I'm like, literally the 2 Picard-centric series finales, they were like, we're going to model Endgame after this, and then we're going to grab up the showrunner who did a good job bringing it back. And I'm like, they're loving some Star Trek over there. Like, I think Feige might be a bigger Trekkie than I realized, and I'm excited for it. Like, I am all on board with this series, like, with the budgets and the, like, exploration of the Marvel characters. If they could do the sort of interconnectivity that Star Trek has and have, like, really rich shows that people can love and have 7-8 seasons of great shows that all interconnect well, like, that's what I'd love to see.
No, I'm down with that. I am not a big Trekkie, to answer your question. I liked, the 2009 film with Chris Pine and that cast, but I've heard great things about Picard, and it's exciting to me for a new MCU show, and especially whatever approach that they're starting to go with the shows now, after working out the kinks of other shows post WandaVision, and getting an actually experienced and acclaimed showrunner to create a Bible and do the whole thing and correctly run a television show, and not making it just what I hope won't be like a 5 or 6 part movie stretched out maybe a little too thin, and having some legs, some story, whatever it's going to be, especially now that it seems like what Haley said, they got rid of the Vision Quest angle that they're going. I'm curious what it's going to be like. I haven't really thought about White Vision too much since the end of WandaVision, but I am
thought
curious.
About him every day, Reed. Come on.
I was for a while, and I had to go to therapy to get that out.
The where is White Vision to me is like the funniest unanswered thread in the MCU
Yeah.
because it's been so long and like there's been so many since then. Like the amount of loose threads that we have is just insanity at this point. And I think they realized that on some level that like there was such a fire hydrant of content that came out after Endgame that there was not enough time to bring these things together in a way that made sense and felt satisfying. But Reed, I'm glad you said that because that's what I was thinking too, was like the showrunner thing is big. Like that's what they need. And that's what Feige talked about. Whenever we talked earlier, it's been a few months now, but when Variety and a couple other of these trades put out pieces about the future of the MCU, and they were half kind of critical and half kind of, hey, we're looking towards the future and we're trying to improve this thing and right this ship. That was the thing that they kept talking about, was that these shows didn't have showrunners. They would just sort of lay everything out and they would get 3 or 4 directors and they would they felt that way. Like when you watched them, they didn't feel cohesive and they didn't feel like they were, and I think there's good examples of that. I think Secret Invasion is probably the best example of that. But there's just kind of this very disconjointed thing. And so that excites me.
Or at times they felt too cohesive because they did this thing where like they gave a director that directs movies a TV show and they said, hey, make a TV show that's 6 episodes. And they all felt like, here is a movie chopped up 6 times. They didn't have individual arcs and storylines existing within the episodes, which is what you need for episodic television and for week-to-week viewing.
Yeah, so when I see that, I'm like, okay, like that seems to be a move to do the thing that you said very publicly you were going to try to do with these shows, which is what they really need. Star Wars TV has been a really good example of using showrunners. Like The Mandalorian, I think, is a great example of how you can have directors put their own spin on these different episodes, but it still has an overall cohesive feel that a showrunner is running. I wonder how much this will connect to the side characters of Vision, like his sons, for example. Like we keep hearing that they're going to pop up, and we know Young Avengers is happening. Like that was teased at the end of the Marvels. So I think that's an interesting angle. Who knows what's going on with Elizabeth Olsen, if she ever wants to return to this role or not. But I think that that's an interesting angle that we'll have to keep an eye on too. If we're going to get Elizabeth Olsen back in this universe, this seems like a place that you would foreseeably do that. So I think that that's something to keep an eye on here. But overall, yeah, I'm excited. I'm surprised, to be honest, that this is getting made. This was announced way back at the beginning, right? Like whenever they were announcing all of these shows, and then it was, well, actually, we need to cut a bunch of these. And I just figured this was first on the cutting floor. But to see it have a vision and have a push and have a lot of talent behind the camera, I think that bodes well for it.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing that it's got me thinking about is just like the structure of the next few years of Marvel. And like they've talked about they're doing 2 movies, 2 TV shows. And right now we know 2025, if they stick to that, is Daredevil, Born Again, and Ironheart is last we heard. And then if they stick with this, 2026, we now know what one of our 2 TV shows is going to be in 2026. And it's going to be a Vision TV show. Like that, if they stick to all this. It's just interesting, and it feels exciting. It feels that sparseness makes it feel like there's a lot to look forward to in the sort of specificity of what the Marvel universe is going to look like over the next few years, I guess, instead of feeling like this week it's this week it's this week it's this. So I'm excited for the future of the MCU.
But do we feel that there's a general interest in some of these characters when there's so many years apart from seeing them last? Like it's been since 2020 when the White Vision storyline pretty much began.
Yeah.
And we have not seen him since. And it's happened with a lot of characters, and I'm not sure how well it will work out in the long run when, you know, there's so much time in between when Shang-Chi came out and the momentum of that character, and how much I really personally enjoyed that movie, and I wanted to see more of him and those characters, and there hasn't been next to anything since.
Yep.
And I'm wondering how that effect is going to be on this Vision series. And WandaVision was a hugely popular show. Maybe they'll be building up Vision with some small appearances throughout. Like if they were smart, you could do some very funny things of White Vision just appearing in the background or popping up in certain ways and avenues to explain where he's been and just get the general interest back. But I am curious, and I don't know how you all will feel about just how much time has gone in between these characters.
I'm one of those that the White Vision character like really intrigued me. That like Ship of Theseus conversation where like, you know, Hex Vision is talking to White Vision and they're having that whole conversation. Like that was, I know. Like during that conversation we talked, you know, in the show here on the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, we talked about how Star Trek-y that was, like talking down the villain through logic, making a computer. That is such a Captain Kirk thing to like make a computer like decide it doesn't want to do its attack because you out-logicked it, you know, like, and I just love it so much. It's just the kind of stuff I grew up on. So that even makes it like, now that I'm getting chills thinking about the guy who just did the Star Trek show picking up where that left off. Like, I am so excited. But to your point, I totally see if White Vision didn't resonate with you, if you're not a guy who sat there and went like, oh, this is my thing, like this kind of conversation is exactly what I want, like, and that just and this like you said, you hadn't thought about it much since then or whatever, like I can totally see how a lot of people might just like not care at all about White Vision. And it is seems like it is going to be a different character than the Vision we all like knew and loved.
I think a couple of things will happen. People like us, most of us, not you, Reed, who want to see, like, who have thought about, like, I don't think about it every day by any means, but every time I watch WandaVision, I'm like, and there he goes. But I think there are all those threads that the hardcore fans do want to see tied up, and if it's tied up in his show, and then it's left forever, then okay, I think that's fine. And then I think to their plan of having less content that's less overall interconnected, I think that some people will see this and go, I don't even know what that is. I don't care about it, and I'm not going to watch it, and it won't affect them the way stuff has affected before if you haven't watched it. So I think those are the things that will happen. Some of us will be really happy, and some people just won't care and won't notice.
They're clearly...
Well, and a lot of people, the last time they saw Vision, like a lot of the general audience was he died. You know, like you know, like there's not everybody jumped on the Disney Plus shows, as we've said, and WandaVision, I would imagine, is one of their more popular ones because it was the first one after Endgame. But to what we've said, it's been a while since people watched that. It feels like 10 years ago since I saw that show. But again, you're trying to convince general audiences to come in, and a lot of that general audience hasn't been there since Avengers Endgame. And so I think there is a degree of convincing that needs to happen here, that this is a show that you would want to watch if you're thinking about getting into the MCU or picking it back up or whatever. So there's a conversation there about like, how do you drum up interest in a character that you killed and then you brought back in a show? You know, how do you get people to come over and watch that?
Clearly, they're also like really tracking an interest in WandaVision, and I wonder where that comes from. Yeah. Like, if that is because, I mean, I know that's a beloved show, and a lot of people's favorite of the new era since Endgame. But I also wonder how much of it is like that's the show that got the most interest because it was first. And then once they started doing the every week there's a new show thing, they just lost interest. So now they're like, okay, we still had the most people back when we put out WandaVision. The most people remember where those characters are. So maybe because like one show for 2025 is going to be Agatha, or 2024 is Agatha, and then 2026 is going to be Vision. It's like every 4 shows is a WandaVision spinoff, you know? Just seems like a lot of WandaVision spinoffs, which I'm down for, but it's clearly they see something in the tracking of maybe how much people rewatch the show, maybe in how many viewers it got initially, you know? Like, I
also wonder about the talent, even though Jack Schaefer's not involved anymore. She did WandaVision. She is showrunning Agatha all along, and then she, I think, was a writer on Black Widow as well. So maybe they like her vision for some of the stuff, because probably just not being the showrunner doesn't mean all of her ideas are gone from this new Vision show completely. So maybe there's a talent interest there too.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure, yeah.
All right, moving on to our next story. The 2024 summer movie season continues to struggle as newcomers Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, and the Garfield movie essentially tied for the #1 spot for the holiday weekend, each debuting at a muted $31 million. The worst Memorial Day weekend at the box office in almost 30 years. Furiosa particularly came in lower than estimates as a prequel to Mad Max Fury Road and receiving the same B-plus cinema score. Do moviegoers just hate Mondays, or is there a way to get more fans to witness new releases?
I mean, we have seen kind of this pattern, right, over the last few years, like especially since 2020 and COVID, where you're getting movies released direct to streaming. Viewers are getting spoiled. People like me are getting spoiled by getting to see certain movies direct to streaming, even though there are many different Marvel films, whatever, that I want to contribute fanfare and love to, that I'll go to the theaters for. It's become kind of a hassle. It's become very expensive, especially as a lot of theaters up the theater experience and make things more luxurious, which ups the cost and kind of outprices people that might normally go to the movies. Furiosa and Garfield. I'm a Garfield fan. I had all the anthology books as a kid. I was big on Garfield. I wasn't particularly amped about this movie. It didn't make much sense. I could go on a long rant about how Garfield shouldn't be an action star. Chris Pratt's a little too excitable of a voice. There's a lot of things wrong with it. Won't dive into that. Furiosa, though, surprised me. Furiosa coming into that muted of a number surprised me a little bit. And I think it could go, we could tie it back a little bit to the previous conversation in terms of how many years apart from something.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Mad Max Fury Road had a lot of years between it and the previous Mad Max installment, so you can counter it there. But Furiosa and Fury Road, I know a lot of people that just are obsessed with Fury Road and obsessed with that character. I wasn't crazy about it when it first came out. I decided to rewatch it the other night, loved it, loved the character of Furiosa, and I'm excited to see the movie, but I wasn't feeling particularly compelled to go to the theaters yet to see this movie, even though I've heard great things and it looks particularly great. Marketing seemed to be there. It's just now it seems like you have to have an event to really bring people out. No Way Home was a huge event, and the idea of these the past, spoiler alert for people that have been under a rock for these years, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield appearing is a huge deal. Top Gun Maverick was a huge deal for a lot of older generations that grew up on Top Gun and wanted to see this, and people who are just huge Tom Cruise fans. I loved it. I went to the theater and it was a huge event. And then last year's Barbenheimer, where it's not any other year, Oppenheimer and Barbie released separately could be hits, but the idea of having two completely separate movies intertwined and releasing at the same time as a double feature unintentionally made it just this huge event that people had to go to the theaters to see, and it was a fun time, and the theaters rolled out like pink carpets and people were dressed up as Oppenheimer, and it just became a thing. But you didn't really have anything else like that last year. I don't see too much on the schedule this year that really draws people and makes you feel like this is something I have to see in theaters. This is something that's unlike anything else. Deadpool and Wolverine looks like it could be, that. It could be that massive draw because you're feeding on nostalgia and newly paved roads of multiverse crossover techniques. Inside Out 2 is a major Disney legacy film now, so that could draw people. And Twisters also capping on nostalgia and bringing people in via that route, and the Glenn Powell route. Hey, that's me. Love that dude. Those are the only films that I see coming out this summer that could be massive hits like this, and I don't really see the box office coming too far up from where we are this year. I think the highest grossing movie so far this year is Dune Dune 2 with 282 million domestic dollars. So it's a curious case to me. I'm very fascinated by the box office and always have been, so I'll be watching it strongly, but this is not a good sign with Memorial Day weekend coming in this muted.
Yeah, I'm worried about Hollywood. I mean, like I have been for a while, but like this this is the lowest opening Memorial Day weekend for a #1 movie in 30 years. All right, like 30 years. This is it. Like this is the lowest it's been. And these were seemingly like kind of strong properties. I mean, Furiosa was marketed very well. It was all over the place, but people just didn't see it. Like it was projected to go somewhere in the $40 to $50 million range domestically, and it barely crossed 30. It's Memorial Day weekend. You're trying to get families. Families aren't going out to see a rated R movie, but still, like it shows us that the box office is, and Hollywood in general, for a lot of the points that Reed you brought up, and we've talked about weeks in and out on this show for the year that it's been a show, is that there's a lot of factors working against the Hollywood then theater driven experience of seeing a movie. I mean, I think about The Fall Guy, which just came out not that long ago, which did not do well at the box office and was on digital in 3 weeks. Like literally you could watch it on digital in 3 weeks. And that's for a lot of reasons. I mean, one is because it didn't do well in theaters. Studios want to get them to digital because they get a much bigger cut from somebody buying it on digital than they do from a movie ticket. They don't have to split the revenue as much. So they want to rush it to digital if they can. But it's just this idea of like that theater experience to me. I mean, it's not going to survive too many more box office openings like this to the point where you're going to have to adjust how you have the theater experience, whatever that looks like. I don't know if that means the studios need to own the theaters. I don't know if that means that we need to maybe we just won't see movies unless they're event movies anymore or something, I guess. But yeah, there's a lot of changes that have to happen here to the industry as a whole. The industry needs sort of built from the ground up. And I think like looking at this weekend, it has to be proof of that on some level, that we've never really come back from where we used to be with the theater experience. And, you know, I mean, it's for all the reasons we've talked about: streaming, COVID, you know, the money it costs to go to the theater, all these things. But at the end of the day, like changes have got to happen in Hollywood if we want to see people at the theaters again.
That Fall Guy moving 3 weeks after its release in theaters to digital is interesting to me because it's like they did a ton of marketing for that movie. A lot of people really wanted to see that movie, I think like it had, like, I think the eyeballs were there, but I think people just don't think about, unless there's conversation around it, which unless it's part of a big franchise, unless New Rockstars is doing whatever, and you know, podcasts or whatever are doing huge breakdowns of it, there's just not as much of a conversation. It doesn't have the same need to go to the theater and see it. And something like Fall Guy, that's less connected property, you know, people just don't have the need. But it's interesting to move to digital so quickly because you do, I think part of it is what you said, you can get more money, but part of it is also they're maximizing. They've got all these eyeballs that have seen the trailers and have like maybe wanted to see it. There's a lot of people that wanted to see it, but getting over that hurdle and getting them to the theater was too hard. And they're like, okay, if you won't go to the theater, will you press a button? Will you please just press a button? You know, it's like, we know it's like not wasting all of that marketing you did 3 weeks ago and leading up to it. So I don't know.
You're all touching on points we've talked about before, and I asked our patrons last week what gets you out to the movie theater, and 38% said I don't need an excuse, but 44% said something I only want to experience in theaters. And another choice was a true movie event, and I think those are different. Like, I've wanted to see The Fall Guy, but I haven't wanted to see it so badly that I've gotten to the theater. But like Challengers, I really wanted to see Challengers. I made sure I got to the theater to see that, and it's on digital now too, but it's been out way longer than The Fall Guy has. So I think there's a disconnect between what kind of movie actually is what people want to see in the theaters. Do you actually, it doesn't have to be a big blockbuster. Challengers is kind of almost an indie film despite its budget and its cast. Like, it's kind of a weird film to want to go see, but the theater I went to was not full, but for a Sunday night, it was a lot fuller than I thought it would be. And so I was like, people want to see this movie because they're intrigued by it. The Fall Guy, not necessarily the most intriguing movie. It's, it's an action guy. It's an action thing. Like, okay, kind of like Furiosa. Like, it's an action movie, and it's got kind of a niche audience. Like, I've never seen any of those Mad Max movies. I'm never going to go out of my way to go see it, especially on a holiday weekend if I'm traveling or I want to be with my family or I'm on the lake, I wish. Stuff like that. Not like Matt was. So I don't know. I think there's a real like small margin of between movie event and movies people really want to see in the theaters. And I don't know what's in between there, but I think that's where it is.
Well, even the franchises aren't doing what they used to do. I mean, you look at the last few Marvel releases, they haven't done great. Like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania lost money. The Marvels lost money. Like these are not the layups that they used to be for these studios of being able to put out a film that's interconnected and one that you just assume people will go see. We haven't seen Star Wars since The Rise of Skywalker in theaters, but you got to think like Star Wars is people aren't necessarily just going to go see it because it's Star Wars, which they used to do, right? And same with like Marvel. And that's a hurdle that has to be cleared. I think like whenever we inevitably, and we're going to talk about it in a minute, but when we inevitably see Deadpool and Wolverine make its way to theaters in July, like it'll probably do really, really well because of all of the other stuff around it, like the Ryan Reynolds and the cameos and the Hugh Jackman and all that type of stuff that goes into it. That's going to push people that extra step that they need to actually go see it in a theater, right? Which is a whole different thing than see, because like you think about the Marvels, like it really bombed at the box office, but when it made it to Disney Plus, it was like immediately the number one viewed thing. Like people were watching it on Disney Plus because they wanted to see it. It's just it didn't do enough to just get over that hurdle and get people to the theater. So it's so complicated. It's such a narrow margin, but it's just that's where it is. Like that's what you've got to do. You've got to push people in this world that we live in now, with the content that we have just like in our faces all the time. You have to get people to take that last little step to actually go to a theater.
Yeah. It's got to be timely. You got to have a need to go see it now. Like you got to have a need to be a part of it, be a part of the thing. I think Barbenheimer and all that, like costumes and like it almost had like a con feel with all these people going to like in Barbie costumes, and I think you've got to have that. I think what Reed said is exactly right with making it an event, not just a movie. But I think Challengers was successful because it's like I feel like it's the kind of movie like it's about like tennis and relationships. I feel like maybe it would skew female. But all the ladies could convince their boyfriends to go because they said it looks like it had a threesome in it. And so,
spoiler, it doesn't.
Is that why you saw
man.
Challengers?
No.
Matt, did you go see Challengers for that
That's-
reason?
No.
Well, I was now that Haley told me it was on digital, I was like, oh, okay.
Threesome time.
Haley bobbing her
It is
head
a
and saying
threesome
threesome
of-
time needs to be a meme.
Please
fair
don't.
warning. It is a threesome of two dudes and a girl. So,
Well, see, that's the thing. The girlfriends
so
didn't
just keep
tell
that
him
in
that part.
mind.
They didn't
If that's
tell
not
him
your thing,
it was a devil's threesome, as they say.
Devil's threesome.
I've never heard that before.
No, I don't know what it comes from. I want to say it
Must-
was in like How I Met Your Mother or something.
Must be an
some
Alabama thing.
Does that happen down in the holler?
Oh man. Okay.
That's what they mean by
South.
the
This is
devil. The
bad.
devil went down to Georgia. That's what it's about.
Oh, I do want to mention after the threesome talk, let me just say Furiosa was awesome. It was so
Yeah,
good.
I want to go see it. I haven't yet, but I'll probably go this week.
You're part of its failure.
I'm part of the
Jay.
problem. I know I'm part of the problem.
'Cause
I
I
was busy.
it is worth going to the theater for. Like it is an experience. It is an epic. It everything Fury Road had and more, plus like just the excitement, great world building. Like you just get to see more of the wasteland and how it operates and understand it and see her grow up and like just the whole thing. And we did it on Bingers Assemble, which was a lot of fun. All the Mad Max movies, including Furiosa. But I forgot to tell this to them, so I'll tell this to you. In the first few moments of the movie, there's someone saying Furiosa's name, and it sounded so much like Hermione. Furiosa, like she had like a very thick accent, and it's not Furiosa. I don't know. Cracked me up. But it's great movie. Okay, let's move on. Advanced tickets for Deadpool and Wolverine became available last Monday, resulting in an estimated 200,000 tickets sold for roughly $9 million, and enough to break the record for first-day R-rated ticket sales. Subsequently, at still 2 months out, it leads 2024 in all pre-sales, with all signs pointing to it being this year's first $100 million plus opening weekend. Are we at all surprised at these numbers, considering this is Disney and Marvel Studios' first R-rated outing, or is the hype undeniable?
I'm not surprised. I think that this was expected, that this would be a different level of Marvel film, because you are operating from a lot of different audiences that a typical Marvel film might not have. The Deadpool thing has always been separate from the general MCU, so that crowd and the Marvel crowd isn't necessarily, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of crossover, but it's not necessarily the same crowd. So you're drawing in those audience members, you're drawing in people who still have a vested interest in the Fox X-Men universe and watched Hugh Jackman portray Wolverine for years and years. And I think like when you're putting all that together, plus the marketing has been clever and funny, and it'll probably continue to be, I think you're putting together a winning formula here. Like, it'll be an event film. It'll be full of what we imagine are cameos and callbacks and all kinds of like insider type things that people who are fans of all of the things will get and have fun with. And I think all of that and the spoiler aspect of it will really drive people to go see it in its opening weekend. So yeah, I expect this movie to be really big. I think probably, I know we've talked like, will it break $1 billion? I still don't think it will. I think it'll probably be, and that's not to down it, like it's going to be successful. I think it'll probably end up somewhere in like the $800 to $900 million range worldwide, which is still really, really successful. But you know, it's R-rated, and it's we just talked about how the box office in general is sort of down and sort of depressed. So I think it's got some stuff working against it there. But yeah, this is really encouraging, and I think it's going to be the movie of the summer and probably one of the highest grossing movies of the year when all is said and done, which is exciting.
Okay, before we go on, what's the bet between Matt and Jay on the $1 billion? We're gonna set. This is the
hey,
official
if you still want in.
Oh,
I think it'll be
doing
less.
it?
what you think is gonna be
You
less?
still
than
think it'll be
billion?
more?
Mm.
Yeah, worldwide.
Mr. 305.
So the tracking for this is saying 100 million, over 100 million opening weekend right now. I feel like opening weekends have to be even a little bigger to hit $1 billion, but yeah, I mean, I'm in. I'm always willing to take a bet.
you'd probably want it around 180 or something in its opening weekend or something, which I think
This
is a
is gonna
little
be
bit
a
of a stretch.
one. Like, what's the deadline? How long are we waiting for it to hit $1 billion?
Oh,
Just
see,
in
that's
its theatrical run, like when it leaves
Yeah.
theaters.
Okay,
Like, what's
all
its
right.
final total worldwide?
Yeah,
You heard it here
Yeah.
first.
Yeah,
Yep.
no
Three oh five.
re-release stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
Just all-
Yeah.
Or we
Alright.
could make an opening weekend bet like we did last time, so it's more immediate. Give the people what they want.
Double bet.
Double bet.
Double Jeopardy.
What are we betting though?
I don't know.
I don't know. That's what we need to decide.
I'm just here to facilitate. and
I'm
not participate.
I'm just here to peer pressure you into doing something
Yeah.
stupid on the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
I'm in for the bet.
Yeah.
We need to decide.
okay, so
Okay.
we've
We'll-
agreed on
we'll
the
let this
bet. The
be a
bet is
progression of
happening.
The bet is happening.
Yes.
I say it'll make
We
$1 billion.
still have a couple months.
I think it's going to have
Yeah.
rewatchability like crazy. I know the rated R thing puts it at odds with past rated R movies ever making that much. But what's the top rated R movie?
There's one rated R movie that's made $1 billion, and it's Joker. That's the only one.
Oh, come on. Deadpool and Wolverine have got to be Joker. But I would have said that about Batman v Superman, but it failed so bad.
Plus, Joker 2 comes out this year.
It's true. If
That's-
Joker,
yeah.
that's what we should do. Is Joker 2 going to beat? No, it's not. It's not going to be Deadpool.
It's not. It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
I
I
think
feel
It's
I
got
would feel
Lady
bad
Gaga in
taking
it.
that
I
bet.
don't know.
Looks so good.
it does have
I
Lady
don't
Gaga.
know.
in
I
it.
would make that bet. I don't know.
That
You would
trailer
make
was
the
sick.
Joker 2 would beat Deadpool and Wolverine.
I could make that bet. Lady Gaga's fans are pretty massive.
That's
on
tr-
top of an
it's
already
true.
big Joker fan base.
It's true. I just think that thank you for the bad romance dance there,
You're
Haley.
Literally why I'm here.
I think it has a chance. I don't know. I think Deadpool and Wolverine I don't know. It's like if it was last year, 2 years ago, I would absolutely think it didn't have a chance to beat it. But like with the Marvel narrative that's going on right now, I fear it. Yeah, I just don't know. I do think if it's good, it's gonna have tons of rewatchability. So what do
I
we
would
bet,
love it if
Reed?
it hit a billion. I mean, if it hit a billion, I would think that would be awesome. So
Yeah.
I'm not rooting against it. I just,
Oh, yeah.
just kind of
Well, no, you gotta
just looking
gotta
at
root against it a
the
little
taking
bit.
the temperature. Well, yeah. I mean, if we're making this bet, I got to root against
Yeah,
it
you
just a
gotta root-
little
it's
bit,
the- it's the
just a
fun-
little bit.
part of the fun.
You know,
I
I still want it to win, just not like that much.
So we're doing this bet. Me and Reed might discuss more of this bet about Joker 2, and then we'll have to have him back and eat a chili pepper on the stream or whatever.
I'd 100% do that. I
This,
have acid reflux too. I'll die on this stream. I'll make it content.
Oh, the downloads will go through the roof.
Thank you for your service.
oh gosh, please don't make that joke on Memorial Day.
Wait, that was
Hey, that was yesterday.
That was
We're good.
yesterday.
We're clear.
You're right.
We're
You're clear to make terrible jokes. All right. Well, guys, if you like this show, if you want to support us and help us buy the chili peppers to send people to eat, go to patreon.com/multiverse newscast. We have a Patreon. It's $4 a month. It's basically just tipping $1 per episode. We work really hard to produce this show every week, and we would love it if you would support it. It means the world. And we'll be right back with more multiverse news after this. Cool.
That was sultry. I like that.
Thank you. Thanks, Reed. I feel like we have a thing going here. I like it.
We do. Yeah, there's a lot of good tension.
There's a lot of good tension.
You got to differentiate. There is bad tension.
You're right.
Yeah.
And in the middle,
It felt like he was going to say sexual attention, but didn't want to go that far. Like, there's a lot of
that's what's in the middle.
good
I'm feeling out the
tension.
lines of the show. Yeah.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
Save this for
There are
multiverse
no
nude.
real-
That's the
Yeah,
spin-off.
yeah.
I'll host
That's
that
the
one.
only
Oh,
That would be so funny if we all came on with like our cameras cut to here with just our shoulders showing. Come back from commercial break. Welcome back to Multiverse Nude.
I mean, the first live show that we did for the NFL draft 2 years ago, I wound up shirtless 2 hours into it. It was a lost bet, and that was just the rest of the show. So
Oh, it was a
yeah.
lost bet. I was gonna say how much alcohol was
I
involved.
think it's either a lost bet or we were getting bored, something around there.
We were getting
Christ.
Like
bored.
it's so safe here with chili
Yeah,
peppers.
since the NFL draft lasts 5 hours, that makes sense.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was shirtless or alcohol poisoning. Which one did you want?
Why not both?
Yeah.
All right.
We're in the middle.
I'm gonna bring the show back. Here we go. Welcome back to Multiverse News. We got a Spotify poll this week. Do you guys out there in Spotify land want a Happy Gilmore sequel? We had the people have spoken, and the answer is no. 69% of you say no. 31% say yes. So it's not a total loss. There's an audience.
Some
I'm
people
part of
will
it.
watch anything.
I'll happily watch it. I love Happy Gilmore.
Me
could
too.
If I
Think
saw
of,
a
just
trailer,
dying veg
you
out for
know, yeah, let's see the trailer, and I can be convinced.
Yeah.
for sure.
Promise me a fight with
open-minded.
Drew Carey, and we'll be okay.
Oh, it's a good call. It's a good call.
Wish Carl Weathers was still around for it. You know?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
for sure.
It feels like a missed opportunity, but still do
So
something
many of those
to
guys
honor
are
him.
gone. Like,
Yes, they are. Yeah, it's like you
Mhm.
start thinking about it, and yeah,
sad.
Don't think about it too much. You'll need to go to therapy tomorrow. All right.
No, let's do it. Let's talk about existential dread for
No,
in this
no. Didn't you guys learn the lesson of Barbie?
I'm here for it.
Didn't you guys Barbie said you got to just stuff all those feelings down, and you got to keep having Barbie land, right? Isn't that what that movie was about?
Yes.
I don't think
choosing
you
the high
finished it.
heel.
I think you watched half of it and then you turned it off or something. That's what it sounds like to me.
She chose the high heel, and that was the ending, right? You said it, Haley.
Yeah, right.
I thought it was about watching our nuclear power and how we go operate with nuclear bombs.
All right,
That was the other one.
I sent you
Wow,
guys a
that was a long
picture, but I was at my niece's roller derby last week, or a couple weeks. It was a long time ago. I don't know why I always say last week, but it was they had a "I am become death" shirt in the Barbie font, and I just thought that was just like it was a nice Barbenheimer combination. I really liked it.
Imagine explaining that to somebody in like 2018 or
Well,
something.
that's what I
Time
think so
traveler.
funny about it. Like, I think that one would be funny even if you didn't know about the movie thing. Like, "I am become death" in Barbie font is a funny shirt, like, period. Okay, now we're going to dive into the lightning round. This Reed, your first time here. Let me tell you how this works. I'm going to read a story. We use our names to buzz in for that story if you want to claim it. And first person to buzz in responds to the story. You get. We only take one response, but once per lightning round, you get one rebuttal. So it's just a way to keep the stories moving a little bit, and we often cheat and do little tiny butts, as we call them.
And by often, we mean every single time.
Hey, there's been a few where we stuck to the rules. I didn't mention it because it doesn't feel funny to mention, but like I was always like, yeah, we did it, guys. We did it.
It was always kind of deflating. It was like, no, yay.
Yeah, when people follow the rules, it's always a little.
We did it.
Yeah, we did it. This is a short one though. I feel like we might can make it this week. Here we go. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Adam Wingard, director of the last two MUltiverse films, will not return for the third installment due to timing issues. The split is amicable, with a future return possible.
Reed,
Go for it, Reed.
I am very disappointed by this. This is one of the only Godzilla vs. Kong was one of the only two movies that I've seen this year in the theaters. That and a nearly 20-year-old Spider-Man 3. And I've loved the absolute zaniness and ridiculousness of these Godzilla and Kong movies. I like the MUltiverse, but none of the films before really held up to what Godzilla versus Kong was, in that it did not take itself seriously, a smooth 90 minutes, and then the sequel held up to that even more, even zanier stuff. Kong's beating the hell out of other people with a baby gorilla. I love it. I need more of these, and I'm not sure if another director is going to get this down like Adam Wingard. So, I'm happy that it was amicable and he could come back for something in the future. But it does make me very disappointed that he's not going to be doing the third.
Awesome. Netflix revealed a first look at Liam Hemsworth as Geralt of Rivia in The Witcher. Hemsworth replaces Henry Cavill for the final 2 seasons, with Season 4's release date currently to be determined.
Jay, I'm just saying, I'm just getting in because I know none of us watch The Witcher, right? Like,
I think
right?
Jay
I mean,
Scotty
anytime
watched
we
it,
talk,
I was like, Jay Scotty's
the
gone this
joke,
week.
one of the undercover jokes of this podcast is that anytime we bring up something about The Witcher, nobody has anything to say about it because none of us watch it. But with that being said, this is fascinating to me because if you remember the background of why Henry Cavill left, it's because he thought he was going to be Superman again. You know, thank you, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, for that. And now we live in this world of post-Henry Cavill as The Witcher, and I think people are divided about it. Like, I think people really liked that show because they liked Cavill in the role, and now you're inserting someone else into the role. And does he look like The Witcher? Yeah, he does in the promotional images. But still, like, you gotta do this season. They say they're gonna do another season, and I think it's just I can't think of another show like this where you had this main character, this leading person, and then you had to swap them out for the same guy. He's playing the same guy for the last 2 seasons. It's bizarre and weird, and I don't really watch The Witcher, but I'm still intrigued by just all that goes into that and how interesting that is.
Glenn Powell revealed to The Hollywood Reporter that he recently turned down major roles, including the upcoming Jurassic World film and a reboot of The Bourne Identity.
Haley, this profile of Glenn made me fall in love with him even more.
I mean, that
love
cover
to see-
photo. I
might
come
have
on,
been
he
sending the covers to Jess just regularly recently on Instagram. We heart Glenn.
they knew what they were doing.
So does he. He's so self-aware. That's what I got from this profile. He's a very self-aware actor in Hollywood, and some of the comments he made about being in Hollywood made me think of Tom Felton's memoir that I recently listened to, Behind the Wand or Beyond the Wand or something, where you go to Hollywood and you're thrust into this like lifestyle that you think is amazing, and then there's a part of you that steps back and goes, this is psychotic and I don't really want to be part of this anymore. And that's kind of what he's doing, in that he's relocating back to Austin, Texas, which is where he's from, and being just like choosy about the roles. And really, from what it sounds like in the article, I think he ultimately wants to be a writer. It sounds like he did that back when he was just auditioning. He would write, and sell specs and stuff like that. So I love him for looking at the Jurassic script and being like, this is awesome, and I don't add anything to it, and turning it down. Like, we don't see that very much in Hollywood. And so while I'll miss him like in those things, I love him for just going for what he wants to do and not like bending to this awful pressure that we know goes on in Hollywood. It's a great profile. I would read it.
Awesome. Damon Lindelof, one of the co-creators of Lost and The Watchmen, is officially behind the creative team for the upcoming Green Lantern series for DC Studios. Chris Mundy, the showrunner behind Netflix's crime series Ozark, as well as longtime DC comic author Tom King, round out the creative team. Matt, I always answer a little slow because I want to make sure everybody has a chance with the delay. But I am so pumped for this. This sounds great. This has me tipping my like little Marvel heart toward DC a little bit, because I'm excited for James Gunn's universe, but I'm skeptical still because we haven't seen anything yet. But I don't know if this show is set in that universe. I'm assuming it is. Do we know that?
I would assume so, since James Gunn broke this news.
Yeah, it was part of James Gunn's initial docket.
Great.
Well, and he like recently put this on Instagram.
That's right. I remember that was in the story, and I took it out. And I was like, we don't need that part. And then I'm now realizing I read that 4 times today and didn't remember it, and I should have included it in the story. So Damon Lindelof with Watchmen, I think, made one of the best seasons of television. For a first season, giving it so much depth and appealing to lovers of all kinds of media that loved Watchmen. And I think that I'm not a big Green Lantern fan, but I think if anyone can like bring Green Lantern to me, it could be Damon Lindelof. And I love his run on Lost. Lost is a show that is divisive in some ways, but I was just one of those guys who was like sitting with theories and talking about it. And I was doing the same thing with Watchmen when we covered it back in the day. And I'm just pumped for him show running a DC show makes me more excited for the DC EU. No, it's DCU now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
MCU, DCU.
We don't speak about the
It's like
DCU.
poetry, it rhymes.
Yeah. Well, yes, I'm just all in, and this makes me like like I said, my little Marvel heart. I'm a little worried for Marvel because this has got me, my heart's pitter pattering for someone else. Okay.
Yeah, I guess I'll use the rebuttal on this one to say that Lindelof's a huge get. Like he's immensely talented as a creative,
Yes.
and I was surprised by this. Like just to see that I mean that's a big announcement for James Gunn. Like that's a huge score for him to bring that level of creativity or that sort of creative team behind this and behind the camera is really, really exciting stuff. I do wonder how someone like Lindelof, will work with James Gunn. But it does seem to me like, at least from the outside, that James Gunn is a creative person himself, and that hopefully he does what a good executive does, which is get out of the way and let creative people do creative things. So yeah, I think it's this is huge. I mean, if you're a fan of DC and you're excited about this new universe, I think you have to be excited by this.
Yep, absolutely. Netflix released the first trailer for Beverly Hills Axel F, featuring Eddie Murphy returning as Axel Foley. The new film, following the original 1984 release and its sequels, will stream starting July 3rd. Matt.
Read.
Oh.
No, you take it. Have it. Have at it.
I don't have I do love these movies, and I think it'll be a really fun watch. I haven't really seen a lot out of Eddie Murphy in the last 15 years that I was excited for, but like I'm always a sucker for returning to a role like this that you haven't touched in a long time, so I'm down. I feel like he changed a lot as a performer since then, and a lot of his movies have a very just different he's just a different kind of actor now, and he's a lot more subdued, and he hasn't been as big as he was in I mean, he has moments of very like seriousness in these movies, but like he also is willing to go real big, and I'm excited to see him try something like that again and see if he can tackle that old. I feel similarly though that I said about Happy Gilmore last week. I'm like, those movies are really great. I don't know that basically exactly what I said about Adam Sandler not putting out great material in the last 15 years. I feel kind of the same way about him here. I did like that last movie I saw with him and is it Jonah Hill, right? Where he's playing, like he's like dating his daughter. Anybody?
Yeah,
No?
it was kind of it was a Netflix movie.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And it's weird, like you say that, and it's like there's this distinction of like a Netflix streaming movie and a real movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like it shouldn't be. That movie's really good, and it's like solid. All the directing is solid. Everything's solid in that movie, but like because it came out on Netflix.
It's called You People, by the way.
Thank you, You People. Right. Yeah. I think that was really good, and so maybe there's something here. I'll go in getting excited for it. Okay, Haley ran away. And for some reason has a swastika blanket.
Oh, the truth comes out.
The most unexpected ways.
It's been right behind her the whole time.
She'd be so bad if she knew we were talking about this.
There's some school, and their symbol just like kind of resembles a swastika. It's not. It's like squares, but similar to what that blanket looks like. And like, I just saw a guy at a Easter party, and he walked by me, and I was sitting down, he was standing up, and just at eye level, I saw a belt buckle from his school go by quickly, and I was like, was that a swastika belt buckle? What kind of party am I at? What is going on here? And luckily it was not.
Luckily, you weren't at the wrong kind of party.
Yeah. I guess we can go on if yeah.
We should probably wait on her. I mean,
Okay.
how many have we got left? What?
Not
like
many.
4 or 5, right? Yeah, we just wait on her.
Yeah.
I would imagine she probably didn't watch Dexter.
There she is.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the next story? Does it seem Haley like something Haley would watch?
We were trying to decide if you had watched Dexter or not.
Sorry,
if you
our
cared.
dog is
No, you're
sick,
fine.
Oh no.
and she was crying.
Oh.
She threw up in her kennel again. Yay! So, yeah, okay. Sorry.
No, we're good. We didn't go on just
Okay.
because
We
wanted
didn't.
to give you a chance to get back.
I feel bad that it's your dog, and I feel bad for calling your blanket a swastika blanket.
It's a quilt. My second grade teacher made me.
Well, now we're learning things about your
hold on, let me
second grade teacher.
I was going to say a swastika quilt.
How well do you know that second grade teacher?
Yeah, I like that I said it was a swastika blanket, and you got upset about the part that I called it a blanket.
How well did
Look, it's a quilt. It's a quilt, bitch.
Miss Solomon?
Miss Solomon.
Where are you, dog? Okay.
Okay. All right, we can go back to the show.
Yeah, let's wrap it up soon. Where are you at?
We're
Ryan
almost there.
Johnson?
We're almost there.
hope
We got
your-
this.
I hope your
No,
dog
we got to
feels
do the
better.
Dexter one still.
Yeah,
I was like
yeah.
99% sure you didn't have anything to say about
Sorry, I
Dexter,
should've
but
told you to
just
go
in
on.
case you were like a major Dexter fan. Yeah.
No.
seems like your
My
kind of thing.
neighbor's Dexter.
The murders. Okay, here we go. Dexter Original Sin, a prequel to Showtime's Dexter, announced casting of Patrick Gibson playing young Dexter, Molly Brown, his sister Deborah, and Christian Slater portraying their adoptive father. The premiere date is yet to be announced. Matt?
Jay,
Okay, go for it.
Did you guys watch Dexter?
I did.
Just a little
I
bit.
did. Yeah. To me, it's very, people agree and disagree on the ending and stuff like that, and if they liked it or didn't like it. But I think the overall consensus is that most people did not like the end of Dexter. And to me, it sort of falls into that like Game of Thrones category where at its height, it was some of the best TV that was on. Like some of the middle seasons of Dexter are some of the best seasons of television I've ever seen. Like where you have like, especially once it starts to really hit that peak of like him sort of like facing off against like other serial killers and stuff. Like some of those seasons are so good. And then you get to the end and it just really fizzles out. Like it doesn't to me at least. I did not like the end of Dexter. So that leaves people in a weird place. And then they come around and they did a follow-up series, which not a lot of people watched. Like, I think a lot of people are even like, there's a follow-up series? Like, like if they're listening to this, where he came back and he, but it just, not a lot of people saw it. So to go backwards and do a prequel, like, I don't know if there's a lot of interest in that. Like, a lot of times when you lose that ending, like, you really lose the audience a little bit. Like people aren't as willing to come back if they didn't like the way it ended. And so to me, it's like Dexter's in this really weird place. Like Showtime loves it because it's one of their most popular shows historically. But it's just, how do you convince people to come back if they didn't really love the ending to do a prequel? I don't know. It's a weird thing. It's a weird place. And I don't know if it's necessarily going to be successful because of that.
I'll use my rebuttal here and just say, I hear that. I think going backwards, because that follow-up series was not successful, I think going backwards is one of the only moves.
Sure.
And like getting Christian Slater for that particular role, I think is really good. He was great on Mr. Robot. Really, I only watched the first season. I tried to watch the second season, didn't get into it. And I think that was just generally what happened with that show for a lot of people. But season one of Mr. Robot was awesome, and he was awesome in it. And I think he can bring a lot of gravitas to a show. And I think I think it could be cool. And I like this was always an intriguing part of the story, and we got some glimpses of it in the original series, but not a lot. And we definitely didn't get like what really went on. We just knew that he had taught him, and we got lessons from the father, but not like storylines. And I could see this being a really fascinating part, especially like, I don't know. I could see the father being as much of a main character in the show as Dexter, like having kind of three actors were announced. I'm not really familiar with the other two, but I think this could be a really interesting story for those three characters, and hiding it from the sister, and the father dealing with the guilt, but also feeling like it's his only option. And it seems cool. I could do good things. Warner Brothers dropped a new trailer for Beetlejuice that features a more extended look at the cast. The film debuts in theaters on September 6th. Matt, I'm excited for this. Trailer looks great. One thing that hit me when I was watching the new trailer, what was that noise? Sorry.
It's Beetlejuice.
Drop something.
Say you're one away. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. One of the things that really struck me watching this trailer is how visually they have kept the language of the original movie. Like even the sandworms look just as silly, and like the way they shot the house, the way they shot the little Beetlejuice's little home on that board, it just all looked so similar. They really lovingly recreated that house and the little miniatures that are within it, and I think that's really cool. And also the the three main actors, well, I guess four main actors in this, I feel like this has potential to really do well because people like Michael Keaton, and he's done a lot of big things lately. I think that people root for him, and him coming back to this role is cool. But then like Catherine O'Hara has just like a new life to her career because of Schitt's Creek. Like people know her name that might not have known her name before, like I knew Catherine O'Hara's name, but might not have been able to play. It's like, she's one of those actors from the 90s, but like after I saw her in Schitt's Creek, she's like a household name around here, literally in my household. Or we call her Moira Rose, but like, we also know her name. And then on top of that, Winona Ryder having the like resurgence with Stranger Things a few years ago. I think like people are into her, and then Jenna Ortega, like it's just like stacked, and that's going to get in people that wouldn't be brought in otherwise. And I think to this
William Dafoe is in this too.
Oh, Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
I was thinking of people that would be bringing in the box office, but like Willem Dafoe to me is not that guy, but he is like, he elevates everything he's in. I love Willem Dafoe. So yeah, I think this just has like great potential. So I am really, really pumped, and this trailer got me more pumped, and it was more of what I wanted to see.
I'll use my rebuttal there, and I haven't seen the original Beetlejuice. It's one that I've always meant to, just haven't seen it. I'm intrigued by that main foursome there. Jenna Ortega's awesome on Wednesday and does really good work with Tim Burton, but I'm going to go with what Jay threw out there. Willem Dafoe is what sold me on it. I love Willem Dafoe a lot as an actor. He's one of my favorite actors, and then seeing him in a Tim Burton Beetlejuice kind of role just has me like fully. I was already looking at it. I was like, okay, I'm going to watch the original and then probably see this. And now like I definitely have to see this and have to watch the original for this. I'm excited about it.
It's a really good point. Tim Burton does a great job with actors going over the top. I mean, and like, I think Michael Keaton has a mode in Beetlejuice that he doesn't use anywhere else. That just sort of like, like it's so weird and fun, and like it's perfect for a Willem Dafoe to be like a foil for him to be playing off of. I don't know who his character is at all. Don't want to know till I see the movie, but it just looks great, and that's a really good point, Reed. All right. Rian Johnson announces his next Knives Out film, Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, releasing on Netflix next year with Daniel Craig reprising his role and lots of other big Hollywood names being added to the cast daily, including Fleabag's Andrew Scott.
Reed, I love the Knives Out series. I love what Rian Johnson does with it. I love the passion that he and Daniel Craig have for the Benoit Blanc mysteries. And the groups of casts that they get for these has been elevated each time. And I had doubts about Glass Onion. I was like, oh, this will probably fall off. I loved it even more than the first Knives Out. I'm excited to see the cast. I didn't know Andrew Scott was going to be part of this cast. I love Andrew Scott a lot, especially from his role on Fleabag as the Dirty Priest. And I've been seeing Hot Priest, yes, Hot Priest,
the Dirty Priest.
Reed, you have a vibe about you.
I got a Hot Priest vibe. I love Andrew Scott for this. I've seen reports that Tom Hardy might be one of the leads for it. Kaylee Spaney, who also got some awards last year for playing Priscilla Presley. I have nothing but high hopes and good expectations for Wake Up Dead Man. And just hoping, I'm just very curious to see what the locale is going to be, what the general vibe of the movie will be. And I just like the use of song lyrics and song titles for these movies, with Knives Out and then Glass Onion being a Beatles reference, Wake Up Dead Man is a U2 reference, and trying to see if it'll go towards a little bit like Irish setting. Who knows? This is going to be fun.
Absolutely. Rupert Friend, star of Wes Anderson's Asteroid City, will star Scarlett Johansson and Jonathan Bailey in. That's dual join. Ugh, goodness. I messed this one up earlier when I was reading the script. I was like, Rupert Friend of Wes Anderson, and I couldn't get that out of my head. Like, friend of Wes Anderson, star of Wes Anderson's, whatever. Okay. Lord. Rupert Friend, star of Wes Anderson's Asteroid City, will join. Lord. Same thing. Rupert Friend, star of Wes Anderson's Asteroid City, will join Scarlett Johansson and Jonathan Bailey in Gareth Edwards' new Jurassic film for Universal.
Haley, yay. Continue to be a stacked cast of actors I really enjoy, so I think that Glenn Powell was right, and this is going to be a strong movie.
Absolutely. Glenn Powell, though, like, kind of, I feel like it always is a little shady when people are like, I turned down a role, and then other people are announced for it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they were second choice.
Oh, don't come down on Glenn.
I'm not. I feel like I'm more coming down on Rupert
Don't
Friend
come down
or
on
Jonathan Bailey.
or
What
Rupert
are those two?
How dare you?
Maybe he was the Scarlett Johansson role. I don't know.
You know you're going to be sitting in that Jurassic World movie going, but imagine if
Could
this
have
was
been
Glenn
Glenn
Powell.
Exactly. Jeffrey Wright joins The Last of Us Season 2 as Isaac, reprising his role from the video game.
Jay, I love this. I love Jeffrey Wright, and he is fantastic in The Last of Us 2 as a voice actor in that role. And so to see him on the screen for Last of Us 2 is going to be great. The Last of Us 2 is currently filming, and the cast is great. We've talked about, speaking of Catherine O'Hara, she's going to be in The Last of Us Season 2. And this is going to be huge for HBO next year. And I think Jeffrey Wright only brings a lot more talent, a lot more intrigue to Season 2.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that is our news. That is our lightning round and our news for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. Reed Murphy, your first time here. Tell the people where they can find you online.
Of course, it was fun to be here. The 323 Network on YouTube. I would love everybody to go check that out. There's some awesome stuff. A Tom Welling diss track that I think a lot of this crowd would love from our experience. We love him, but we had to diss him, get into the whole Kendrick Drake thing with Tom Welling. The 323 Network on YouTube is where you can find most of us. The 323 with Reed Murphy is the main show. You can find us Spotify, Apple, all those places. But at 323 Reed, at 323 REID is all my social media. Plenty of links and plenty of great ways to follow us and interact with us on all of those. It was very fun to be with you guys. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for being here. For real. It's great having you. And Haley Hobbs, tell the people where they can find you online.
You can find me at Source Pages. We're talking all kinds of different things, and we'll be doing a primer for The Acolyte next week. And then Ashley and I are launching our live stream series that we're calling Hate Watch on Friday, May 31st on Twitch. We're going to pick an objectively not great movie and just do a live commentary on Twitch, and it'll be fun. And it's not a reflection of anybody's taste. It's just for fun. So check us out there.
That sounds amazing. I can't wait.
It's going to be really great.
It's awesome. And Jay Sisson.
Yeah, you can find me at Commute the Podcast, where we cover 3 interesting topics in about 20 minutes on your way to work. And here next month, Haley and Ashley and I will be over on Bingers covering Twister and then Twisters when it comes out. So get your Twister watch in over the next month here if you haven't seen that movie or if it's been a while since you've seen that movie.
Yeah,
that'll be me.
And go see Bingers Assemble in general. Like they're going to be there with Twisters very soon. We just did Mad Max and Planet of the Apes, all 8 of those movies, and they were just a ton of fun. Both franchises are this interesting like mid-apocalypse movies where it's like in the apocalypse, not after, and it's just kind of interesting how much the fall of society and like discussing those movies sort of like paralleled in a lot of ways. It was a lot of fun. So check out Bingers Assemble. I was over there a lot in the last few weeks, so check that out. And we'll be back very soon with lots more podcasts. StrandedPanda.com for all the podcasts of Stranded Panda Network. And peace.
You stay classy, MUltiverse.
Yeah,
gotta do it for Scotty.
Thank you, Jay. All right,
it hit me. I was like, wait, he's not here. It's our thing.
What's our thing? All right, I'm gonna hit stop here. It'll take a minute for everything to upload, Reed. So if you can stay on while the thing uploads. And YouTube, we love you. Thank you for hanging out.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it was great. I think this is the second Stranded Panda show I've been on. I was on Animation Deliberation.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It was either Animation Deliberation or Source Pages at some point. I don't know where I was talking Batman. Or the Batman. But I had a fun time, and this was very fun. This is a lot of fun. Be happy to come back anytime.
Sweet, man. Well, you really were a great guest, and I really enjoyed all your takes. So we will definitely have you back.
Yeah, the summer we're always rotating people in and out for sure. So there's always opportunities to hang out.
Yeah.
I think I'll be gone actually for maybe 2 weeks in June. I don't know which weeks off the top of my head yet, but
it depends how good the internet is out of the lake house.
When I'm out to the lake house.
And anytime y'all wanna come over there, and
especially
really kick Zoo out of a seat. We've been enjoying doing what we call our potluck, where everybody brings their.
I mean, me and Haley have been dying.
That's
me
fun.
and Haley have been dying to talk about sports somewhere.
Oh,
so
yeah,
they don't let us do it on this show.
Come on over. That's where Zoo gets it all. BVK too.
They're always slipping it into stories, like putting people's names and stories that, like
She's a big Chiefs fan, and I'm a big Packers fan, and we just never get to talk about sports here. So.
Oh, we have a Packers fan on there that would love you.
Yeah.
We have a guy on there that would love having fun with you, and it's a good time to just troll BVK. Being a Bears fan.
That's awesome. I'm not a sports fan at all, unless the movie has a threesome in it, and then I might go. But
well, you can come on. That can be your topic. Come on, and we'll talk about threesomes.
All right, man.
Best movie threesomes.
This vibe is building, Reed. This vibe is building.
Like, well, welcome to Threesome Talk with Matt Carroll.
Welcome to Threesomes with our threesome.
All right. Well, we're going to get off the internet. Bye, YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.